We start this?
Yes, I am sorry.
Yeah, it's like, wait,
one more yawn.
Welcome.
One more yawn, sorry. Welcome. We are the guests of this program.
Yo, what up?
Welcome to their podcast.
Right?
Dude, that would be funny. Make the guest do it. The worst footing every time.
You guys don't know shit about us. It'd be funny to hear you try to introduce us. Like, one's a guy, one's a girl.
Yeah.
One's in Denver, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll get us going here. We are joined on this episode by a pair of gentlemen. We have Zach Lamplugh, who is the producer, co-writer, and director of 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number one will blow your mind. And we have Brian Emond, who is the producer, co-writer, and star of 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number one will blow your fucking mind. Zach, Brian, thank you both so much for joining us on the program here.
Thank you for having us. It's nice to be on one where you can curse, baby. Fuck you, Mom.
Oh, no, only the host.
What's up? Oh, all right.
No, you guys
I was on one where I said shit and it was a deal. It was.
I love a good old dang podcast. I do.
Yeah.
I just love them.
A good, clean podcast, just like your parents used to play.
Yep.
Oh, man. I think that is the most interesting first few seconds that we've had a guest on. Like the first time, like, oh yeah, I get to swear.
Hell yes, dude. Fuck this. I love cursing.
I get to say bad things about my mama.
Yeah. Fuck everybody.
I don't make a habit of it, but the movie excites me. And we keep saying the full title, so I keep having to like one up the number one part of it. We just keep having to make it bigger.
Oh yeah, we have to do the full name every single time.
15 Things You Didn't Know About Bitchfoot.
Yeah. The way we usually jump off here is we ask before we even jump into the filmmaking aspect and the movies themselves. How did you get the bug for film? Like, was there a movie? Was there a TV show? Was there something that sparked the love for you guys early on?
For film?
Or for filmmaking, just the general love of film and genre.
Oh, man. Why don't you start, Brian?
I started doing like theater, acting, all that sort of thing. And then I started to realize that, and this isn't to be like, to like dish on theater, but it's not like there's a ton of theater out there to do. And I was like, okay, well, I really like acting and film as an alternative. And then I got into stand up a little bit, and then that kind of became a vehicle for like writing. And the more writing I did, the more I was like, I could like write in TV or film, or I could kind of combine these. And then I met Zach, and he was like, man, I'm sort of looking for a comedian who wants to do more sketch stuff because most of you guys only want to do stand up. And I was like, no, that's the thing, man. I'm sick of doing stand up and I want to do more other stuff. So that was where I love film as much as every kid did, sort of thing. But I would say like the getting into it was sort of stumbling into it through stand up and acting and a chance meeting. Yeah,
actually, the first sketch we ever made, we filmed in Brian's office. Remember that? We like went on like a Saturday and filmed this thing. Probably didn't have permission to do it.
And there was, yeah. And like, luckily the company was like sort of fly by night. So the office was very empty and unformatted. And
I think really we filmed in like three of your offices, maybe like 2 or 3. We definitely filmed in your new one. I don't know. I feel like there's always an office or something where we're like, Brian, can we film there? And he's like, I don't care. Let's just go break into my job. Never have permission.
The low responsibility gigs you can keep while doing this stuff as a side hustle.
Right.
Now, I know Brian said he was offline that he was a born and raised Atlanta kid. Now, did you move yourself up there and that's how you guys cross paths?
Yeah. I was, I've lived in every state in the South because my dad's job always moved. So I've lived in like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Virginia. I've lived in like Texas, like all of them. But, I guess I was just crossing Georgia off the list, baby. I was just going up there for jobs and, got into the stand-up scene up there and, met Brian. It was fun. It was a good time. Stand-up's fun, but like Brian said, it's like, you're just doing the same material every night. And it's not, I don't know. I like something about film is nice because you get to like finish it, lock it off. It's done. You know what I mean? And then you're like, let's move on to the next thing. Like so much of stand up is like, you don't do that for years. You don't do that really until you record an album. You know what I mean? You're doing the same stand up for like months at a time or like even years until you're like, you seal it off and you're like, it's done.
Yeah, a big part
process.
of that. A big part of that whole like act is making it appear like it's fresh, which that muscle can grow really fatiguing. To be like, no, I swear this just happened today. Like 3 years into a bit, being like, guys, this you wouldn't believe what happened down the street. The best, I think some of the best comics can do that. Like they're telling you a 4-year-old bit, but they can tell it like it was like they wrote it just now.
Yeah, you see what this new President Obama's doing? You see what this dude's up to?
Well, you touched on some. Brian had mentioned the theater, and I never made that correlation to how theater and stand up have that similar thing. You're doing Hamilton for 8 months to 4 years on the road, so you get a new hour to perform again for several months to years on the road. Mm-hmm. And I can see how that would be a little creatively stalling. And like you said, film is its own thing each time, even if the movies are similar, like the experiences are always vastly different. So
yeah,
checks out.
Chill. Checks out. Adds up, dude.
So that project you talked about that you shot in Brian's office, that was your first collaboration together.
Yeah, there was like a film competition. There was like a little sketch film competition that like the judges were all local directors from Adult Swim. And we decided to enter it, and we actually won. And that's also how I met all those guys over there and like did some editing on their cartoons and stuff. But it was kind of a weird little like miracle that we like just made this like 3-minute video and, you know, like led to something.
What experience did you have leading up to that? Individually, had you each
like none
projects?
I'd done like corporate videos, and Brian hadn't been in any sketches, and I'd made like one sketch before, you know. So, and then after that, we started running this theater show called Ladies Night. We ran it for like 3 years, and here's how it worked. It was a real nightmare. It was a film competition. Every month we would select, like the people would submit stuff to us, and it couldn't be old. It couldn't be your short that played at a festival 2 years ago. It had to be like you just finished editing it, and they would send it to us. We would pick like the best 4 or 5 and then play them. And then whoever won had to keep coming back with another one every month until they lost or got like tired of it. So people would win. And like I said, it was about encouraging your creativity. So people would win with something that took them like 3 months to think of and make. And then they would win and be like, I have to do another one in the next 2.5 weeks. You know, it's like there's a due date for it. We're playing it, you know? And then the thing that we did for it was we hosted it every month with another friend of ours, Joel, and he was also an editor. So he and I would make 3 sketches a month between 2 of us. So there's like, we made like over 100 sketches, like in 3 years of just running ourselves into the ground. But what was great about that was like the experience of like watching your material with a crowd of 100 people who they like us, but there's no reason for them to lie. They're not going to watch something that we made that's crap and like laugh at it. You're going to sit there on the sidelines and just be like, damn, I did not bring it this month. You know what I mean? So that was that's where we got all of our like filmmaking chops. And also to the thing I was saying earlier about a deadline, like the very first one we made had like 19 actors in it, had like 9 locations. It was a song. It had music. And by the third month of the first year, we were like, how do we be funny in the hallway? Like, we were like, how do we just like do it? It has to be in the kitchen. Maybe there's like one shot outside. Like, we can't keep doing this like nonsense, you know? So that's pretty much where we developed like our filmmaking style. We think is funny, our like rhythm. It was a hellish 3 years.
That sounds really intense, but I love that concept of kind of putting the pressure on the winner to come back very quickly with something else. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things I appreciate as a creative person is actually having constraints, having a timeline, having like a set of parameters that I have to work within, because sometimes it's hard to get motivated unless you have that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool idea. And then I loved how you started off doing all the things that they say to not do, like having a huge cast, lots of locations.
Yeah.
Pets, kids, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing too, it was funny, like it was good, but I realized after doing like 3 or 4, we were like, oh, these other ideas can be just as funny, if not way funnier. Like it got way funnier after that. You know what I mean? Like that was just not a favorite idea, you know, and it took so much more work. And then by like the fifth one, we were like, oh, we're in like a groove, and we're able to do it with a lot less moving parts.
Yeah, and it's funny because you kind of answered one of my next questions, which was I was going to ask about kind of the various projects leading up to 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number one will blow the heck out of your mind. I was going to ask, like, what projects kind of helped you build the skills to, make that leap towards making your first feature? And it sounds like you referenced like those couple of years of putting yourself through hell, having to be really creative with limited resources.
Mm-hmm.
But were there some other projects that kind of stood out that really helped you gain confidence?
I mean, I would certainly say that the idea of shooting what we thought of as a traditional movie was a really daunting task.
Yeah.
Like to shoot like a movie where we're like, you mean with like locked off shots? We're like, come on, that's like, we can do that for a sketch where we're just like, just frame it and make it show them and make the lighting clear. As opposed to like a film, which it's like, that's like, you got to craft every single one of these shots. And our method was to sort of like work with speed. Like, and that was sort of what we found was making us funnier. Like over by that fifth sketch was that we were like, if we keep it tighter and we move a little bit faster, the end result is a lot funnier than when we like really premeditate and think of all the pieces and try to make it plot perfectly. If we just like the faster it is, sort of the better. So the whole movie was like, how will we do this? And then we did a couple sketches where we actually sort of nailed a style that we could do. And it was this Vice one. And we had a couple of Vice related sketches where originally it was just like a character who was like a dude who couldn't understand what story he was doing. And it was like much more insufferable. And he was just like, where am I? What am I doing? What am I reporting on? Like, and he was just like aimless and he didn't know if he was reporting.
It was called Vice Will Put Me on TV. And because it was Brian, and it was Brian with the same look he has in the movie. And his tagline was, he was just like, is this a culture piece? Is this investigative reporting? I can't be sure. And it's just like him walking around the city. And he's like, but I know one thing. He looks at the camera and it's like, Vice will put me on TV.
And then it zooms out and you can see like 5 other reporters who look exactly like me, just like the exact identical face. But when we saw that, like when we realized, we were like, oh, wait a minute, we could sort of make a movie by like whip stitching 10 of these together. Like a lot of the comedy films that we like I would say like Pop Star is like an example of like one that we really love that film. And essentially that was a bunch of sketches with this like plotting together. And we were like, oh, well, we'll just do that and, give it a little bit more heart and maybe make this character a little bit more bearable. And
there's no more heart than Pop Star, man.
That's true.
Pop Star is that's a favorite right there.
Oh no, I'm not comparing us. I'm saying compared to our sketch.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, and then we were better than Pop Star, and I was like, fucking, we're not.
And what I did is I saw Andy Samberg, and I thought I just want to improve upon.
Yeah,
it was. I'm calling him out. It was once like we sort of the idea came about that we could stitch that all together, and we were like, oh, well, we can't do the movie sort of the way we envision it with, $50 million, but we could do this. Yeah, we could do a found footage comedy that, spoofs and going into it, like the challenge of making it look like a television show was very fun, because a lot of our more fun sketches we'd made were like mocking the way that Food Network looks or mocking the way that like this, like a commercial would look. And so when you can frame parts of your movie where you're like, visually, it's going to do this to the viewer, like that's really fun.
It sounds like one of my questions is going to be which came first, the Vice style mockumentary idea or the Bigfoot Sasquatch idea, but it sounds like Vice is what started you in. Did the Bigfoot idea come from thinking like you could shoot in the woods for cheap, or was it something about the North Georgia, the legends you guys incorporate?
Well, we'd been doing a lot of like pitches. And something that people always wanted it to be particular to like our location. I'm sure you guys hear that a lot where people are like, you're from the South. We want like stories from the South, and which can drive you up the wall. But like, we wanted a
peach in it. You should have a peach in your story.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So we wanted to do something that could be specific to like the region. You know what I mean? Something horror that could be specific to the region. And I know that Sasquatch is mostly a West Coast thing, but there's Sasquatch people everywhere, and there's definitely weirdos in the South who research Sasquatch.
There's got to be an Appalachian legend in general, right? I know Florida has the skunk ape. Which
in researching this, in researching this, apparently Sasquatch is in all 50 states. So, in even Puerto Rico. So there's Sasquatches everywhere, man.
Everywhere but DC. That's why they do not deserve statehood.
They probably do. They probably at least claim it. I think I was reading about Sasquatch sightings in like New York City, but it makes for a fun movie. We wanted to do something that was kind of Southern, and we wanted to do something that was horror and had a creature in it. And also
without spoiling, you take a shift in the movie toward more of an urban legend from that area. Mm-hmm. But I think you still fulfilled that need for whoever was asking for it.
Yeah.
Aggie, before you jump in, every time we make fun of I'm not making fun of the title. Every time we mention the title and emphasize the number one will blow your mind, Brian makes a sigh, like he's on mute. He's like, "Oh God."
No, I don't care.
What I'm doing is I'm actually building out like the way further down instances where I'm like 15 ass things, shit. But you didn't.
I misread
balls.
15 butt foot.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Evolve over time.
15 things you didn't know about butt fuck. Number cum will blow your behind.
It writes itself.
There you go.
Really.
I'm going to find out Zach has that written on a whiteboard right out of frame or something.
Yeah,
I've been working on that one for a long time.
That was my original draft, and I'm like just sliding it into the trash can right now. I'm like, oh man, never could have been.
So one of the things, as you were talking about how, one of the changes, you took some of your existing kind of sketch characters, but made a more likable, maybe someone you'd actually want to follow during a feature length film. As you were going through that, did you always stick with kind of that Vice style parody, or did you ever kind of think about wavering from that a bit? And maybe we just want to make this like more of a true documentary style, or was that kind of consistent that
we always knew we wanted to crap on Vice. We always knew we wanted to like make fun of, because also so much of that character is built on a guy who works at a cool media company, and so much of that, his struggle is about working somewhere. It's cool on the resume. He actually hates his job. And that all is kind of tied into like me and Tim, our other producer, like our and I'm sure you guys have the same feel, what I mean? Where there's always a dynamic at work where it's like, is this cool thing on my resume worth it?
No, yeah. And I think that works really well, both, just from a pure comedic perspective. It's funny in the film because you're making fun of Vice and everybody loves making fun of Vice. But also I think it works, like you said, for the character really well in terms of you can relate to that. Like, it would be kind of cool to work for Vice, even though I make fun of it. Like, I would love to put that on my resume. I would not say no.
It just depends on like what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you had kind of a script and a pretty good vision for this, kind of what were your next steps? How did you approach financing and, kicking off production?
So we wrote the scripts, like we've written a few scripts for like longer form things and, for like pilots. You know what I mean? And we had never done a movie though before, but we outlined it and wrote it pretty quickly. Like once we had it outlined, we wrote the whole thing like very, very quickly. It was, I don't know, Brian, should I say?
Yeah. It was like a week and a half.
No, it was for the first script was 1 month, and then it went into revisions as we also went into pre-production. So it was like, I think we wrote it in like August. Pre-production was in September. Wow. We did revisions while we were doing pre-production, and then started shooting like October 5th or something like that. So it was but we knew we had the actors, we knew we had the outline. The outline made sense. Like we were like, oh, these characters are adding up. And like you said, it was kind of like it was, the whole purpose was like, let's make a movie. It takes place in the woods. We can work with who we had. All those actors were like from shorts and stuff. So we kind of knew all the people, their strengths and weaknesses of like probably 90% of the cast. So we kind of knew when we like wrote certain things, we were like, oh, we'll just call Will. He'll come out and crush it. We'll call this person. They'll come out and do, they'll totally crush the little part we're giving them or whatever, the 3-4 page cameo they got. So yeah, it was pretty unorganized, but we also knew what we were doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you had a lot of resources, existing resources from, kind of the years of work that you had done prior that you were able to leverage, which is really smart and kind of enabled you to work on that accelerated timeline. I think, obviously it would have been crazy to do it if you were shooting in a location, that was somewhere you weren't familiar with a bunch of people you didn't know.
Yeah. And we also, so Tim, our producer, he also was, he made 3 movies before, I think. And we told him about this. He knew our work, and he'd even submitted shorts to Ladies Night before. And we told him we want to make this movie. And he was like, oh, that's like a really easy concept to do. And we were like, you think so? And he was like, yeah, I already own all that equipment. I shoot for Vice sometimes. So he was like, just come by and borrow it. Just take it out for a spin. So that's why it looks like exactly like a BuzzFeed style documentary of that era,
You'll see a couple of shots in the film that are just sort of seem like B-roll while someone is talking, and someone will sort of rack focus on a bush or just a branch or something. And it's just sort of this random, I guess, interesting shot but it's very Vice-like. And I didn't know how those got in the film. And then I thought back to when we first started filming, I noticed that there were times that Tim was just walking around with the camera and just aiming it at things and kind of pointing when no one was doing anything. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, trust me, just trust me. It's going to work.
With that B-roll.
And it works. It works so well. Just a weird rack focus on nothing. And you're like, oh, I'm watching Vice for sure.
Just like a leaf and a branch. Yeah. And you're like, I'm in millennial documentaries now. That's
filler.
You were asking about Vice versus a traditional documentary. And it's I feel like all documentaries look like that now, except for maybe educational ones, and even then probably there's a bunch of just filler millennial type of editing.
True. The style really has evolved. And I mean, online content has kind of shaped the way we look at theatrical content now too. One thing I was curious about as you're talking about relying on a lot of the actors that you had previously worked with, did the sketch background really come into play a lot with this approach to making a mockumentary style where you could kind of riff and improv a little bit, or was it actually pretty close to the script?
We had a script, and we had it all there was a script that was 100 pages, and it's what you see. But then we also did allow them to improvise some stuff. There was some stuff where Jeff and Brian thought of a funny gag, and it's one of the funnier gags in the movie. They just were while I was setting up the camera, they were we have this funny idea where we're trying to walk and talk. And it's the gag where Brian keeps trying to ask about his relationship and Jeff starts yelling at him. Yeah, that was, they just made that up. But mostly I think that advantage comes into play when it's just working with the people. And I feel with sketches, that was always, you just always have to have a good core. You just always have to be here's what's funny about this. It's a guy who's late, but he can't let his coworkers know blank. You just have to have if that joke is solid, a good actor will be able to take that and just be perfect on screen for 3 to 4 minutes. So we just always tried to have that. Always have your characters values figured out and what their, I guess, motivations, as cliche as that is, but what they're what that character's thinking at the time. Just always try and have that kind of figured out. And if somebody has an idea for something on screen, it's very easy to work that in.
I'm curious about your perspective on this, Brian, being that you're the lead actor.
I think that's something that we both worked on when we were and noticed with sketch work was that a lot more the comedy would come off a lot better when all the characters were making their efforts in earnest and everyone was I realized this from a bit that someone told me a long time ago, but it was the idea that sitcom characters are in hell because they don't ever laugh at their own jokes. And they're just every character is just cracking jokes all the time and no one is laughing at all. I'm what a horrible universe to be in, that everyone is this fun. Everyone is as funny as a Harvard writer and no one is laughing. Mm-hmm. But that idea is I think what makes comedy, or I think a lot of comedy a lot better, or a lot of comedic actors really excel, or makes a lot of our favorite comedic moments really memorable, is that all of the characters were buying into it from a really earnest perspective and not winking or, sort of looking a little bit to the camera and saying, do you get it? Because I think that's the killer. That kills comedy.
Yeah, it's and a lot of times Brian pointed out to me early, a lot of times it's like the reactions that are funnier. You know what I mean? Like somebody says something and the reaction is much funnier than the punchline. You asked Brian about improvising because he's the actor. He should have taken credit and been like, I made up the whole thing.
Yeah, Zach said he wrote it. Zach said he wrote it down. He wrote down nothing. There was no script.
Made up the whole thing.
This was an Instagram message.
It was just a drawing of Bigfoot on a napkin. It was like slid it over to you and be like, you do the rest.
Then he hit me with a cattle prod. He was just like, go, be funny.
No, I'm sure plenty's on the page, but Brian also, I mean, there's multiple scenes of just your slight reaction, just to look away from something crazy that the guy says next to you. It's what sells it. And I think, you watch The Office and Parks and Rec, like half that show's silent because it's just cutting to either a reaction shot or something by one of the characters. That is what half of comedy is.
And I think in those moments, that's like, it becomes kind of like egotistical for the person watching it. Because when you get that little moment of someone being like, right, I think people get to be like, that's me. They're like, and I think a lot of the audience, like when people are watching Jim in The Office be smarmy and look back at the camera, everyone's like, that's me. I'm that self-aware as he is. And I think it feels like funny and good.
Right. In lieu of laugh track, just have that pause of Dorothy looking away after Rose says something terrible in Golden Girls.
Just a laugh and a little bit of self-righteousness. Just a little bit.
See, you guys have kind of done a little bit of legal tiptoeing around things regarding Vice. You had mentioned your friend had equipment because he worked with Vice. I don't know if you told him straight up like, hey, no, we're parodying this again, but in a feature format. So was the assumption you guys would be off the hook for the most part under like parody immunity with the fair use doctrine and all? But
we just did it. We just did it without telling anybody or asking Vice or anything like that. We just made it. And
with the name change, that's why I want to ask you, has there ever been a legal threat of action or anything like that? Or was the film title change preemptive on your guys' part?
Unfortunately, no, they never. I know that. All right, I'll say this. I'll tell you, since we're not going to do anything crazy with it, but I installed a little thing called Sales Handy on my computer to see when people open your emails. And, it's just so you can see when somebody opens or receives your email. And then I reached out to Vice and I sent like the pitch deck and I sent the trailer and all this stuff. And, I could see that like some lower level executive or some person at Vice like opened it and just ignored it. And then I could see like 3 other people opened it and ignored it. And then I sent it to like the head of international development or some crap. I like found his email somewhere and I sent it to him. And then it got like 50 opens in like a day. I remember seeing just like a ton of like activity, probably him like forwarding it to people. And I was just, that we never heard anything from that guy. He probably was pissed off or something. Who knows? I want to find out what happened on the other end of that email, but maybe he loved it and they just didn't call. I'm going to go with that. He loved it and they never called us. He was too intimidated by how good it was. Yeah.
Perfect as is. He could not think of a single thing to change.
Yeah. He was like, well, these guys are killing it, so I don't need to take up any more of their day.
I should just not email them back. It's so good.
That's what he's like, this isn't supposed to be mine. This is a regular Vice piece. Let me send it to some other folks.
Yeah, exactly.
For
parody? What? That must be a typo.
Yeah.
So the cut Becky and I both saw early on was called Vice Guide to Bigfoot, and now it is known as, Becky likes to say, 15 things you didn't know about Bigfoot. Number 1 will blow your goddamn mind. But did anything beyond the exterior, the title change? Was there anything within the film itself you guys also tweaked since the maybe the early festival?
We removed all the references to Vice, so now it's legally all cleared and everything like that. And then no, we didn't really change any like timing or anything like that. We changed a few like legal things, just like switching out to music that we were sure was like royalty free or something like that, things like that, but nothing wild.
No jokes lost in the process.
Nope. Kept them all in there, baby.
Oh yeah, there's no Bigfoot.
We removed it. Yeah, we had to legally blur Brian's face for the entire movie.
Did you come up with a good parody name of Vice?
What is it called? Compound?
Compound is, I believe, what's on the...
Yeah.
On Bigfoot, the poster is his hat. His trucker hat says Compound, I think.
Okay, I will say, I did have trouble coming up with a parody name for Vice. because I was like, Vice, it's a concept.
And with several meanings, none of which have an obvious antonym to them, you know?
Exactly. I was like, the opposite of Vice is glory. No. And that's where I ended
A good habit?
Right.
That's true. And there's not a lot of great words that rhyme with it either. So it's like rice, nice, lice. Like, that's not going to work.
Lice would have been kind of funny. Yeah.
Lice news.
Shaped like the crazy bug.
It's not too late.
Well, every millennial had that lice check in school, so they know what it means. So, you guys both wore a lot of hats during this. Brian, writer, producer, and actor. Zach, writer, producer, director. I'm sure there's probably a billion other things in between. Part-time production designer, prop maker, maybe makeup artist on the side. Probably lots of stuff.
There's no makeup in this movie. Yeah, actually, let me stop you right there. If you see anybody's forehead shining, it's because there's no makeup on their faces.
That's not. We figured out a last minute solution to get a beard back on somebody. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So somebody had to lay some hair.
Yeah, I'll lay claim to that makeup crew credit. Right.
Did the little you in Bigfoot's butt and then took that hair.
Yep.
So whatever the rules might be, you can fill in the blanks. What were your biggest challenges in trying to wear all those different hats, trying to balance your different responsibilities? And would you do it the same way again?
I would make this movie again. I will not do this again. I'm glad I did it. I won't do it. Well, no, I mean, I take that back. I mean, I would do it with like a little bit more support. You know what I mean? I would do it with more people involved, but it really was like, the momentum came in waves for this, you know what I mean? Because it's an independent project. The momentum was always like in waves of like having to get a really cool looking cut. And then like once some of the cut was done, we could like get more people like motivated to like finish it, you know? And then once it's finished, then people have to like have something else to get excited about to get the other post-production stuff done. So and everybody's, doing it for a really cheap rate. So you can't blame them, but it's next time we probably need more of a plan. Yeah, but I love the creativity of it too. Like we were saying about we'd shot some other things with like larger budgets that were much more constrictive. And then doing this, there's nobody. So if you come up with, if like Brian and Jeff are like, we thought of something funny. Do you have like 10 minutes? We're like, yeah, screw it. It's just like me and the sound person. So we're like, let's just go over here, make a bit happen.
You don't have to answer to anybody, which is great.
Exactly.
So after the film was done, after you finally made it through post-production, it was probably really exciting to embark on your festival run.
For a minute.
And the pandemic happened.
Yeah. For a split second it was.
So how did that impact your experience overall?
I mean, who knows? You can't ever say like what would have happened, but it might have been a good thing. It might have so we played physically at Austin Film Fest, and then we played at Panic Fest, and then everything else we had to do virtual. But the cool thing about virtual is like more people are sharing it, tweeting it, talking to you, wanting you to be on a podcast or something like that, like calling you. So there's much more, at Austin Film Fest, there's much more like talking to people in person at a bar. But then at Chattanooga Film Fest, which it was the first virtual we did, there's like way more people trying to get in touch with us about, other festivals. Yeah, actually, we got booked on 3 or 4 more festivals because of Chattanooga. That didn't happen on the other ones. Not to say that those things are bad places or whatever, but it's just people are more willing to like reach out and talk or share online and say like, we got like no tweets out of Austin Film Fest.
A huge part of that is like theater placement. And
yeah,
I mean, you go to like a traditional film festival, depending on the location, depending on how far apart the theaters are, depending on when your movie premieres, you could be at a time when you're really at the best going to get 25 people out to that showing just because of like the logistics of it. Maybe you're early in the day, it's really nobody's fault. That's just when they could slot you in or that second showing or something like that. It's just a matter that doesn't really factor into the online festival. People just watch it whenever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught your film at Chattanooga, and I had always wanted to go to that festival, but never really had an opportunity. And, I probably wouldn't have traveled there unless I had a film playing there at some point. It's one I'd be like, oh, that'd be nice to go to someday, but I never would have made it over there. So I got exposed to a lot of cool films, and I loved kind of the online conversation that was happening around the festival.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I was kind of going to ask as a follow-up about maybe some silver linings from this, and that sounds like that was one of them. Yeah,
that festival, by the way, I can't wait for that one to come back because it's like a riot. That one, Chris Dortch does a really good job of making it a party. You know what I mean? Making it like just a really fun event outside of it. Like he always goes to the effort of like putting together like a field trip in the morning for the filmmakers, where then you just like kind of drink whiskey by like noon. But he always puts together like a good time for the filmmakers and everything.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think that concludes our more formal portion of the interview. Okay. So you made it. Now we get to the part that weirdly makes people nervous, but it's supposed to be the super casual fun part. But
these guys don't seem like they'll have any problem there.
Yes.
I think I told you guys a little bit like James Lipton Inside the Actor Studio nonsense, but more genre bent. Does somebody want to answer first, just so we keep it moving?
Sure, Zach, you go first.
All right, I'll answer first. Let's do it.
All right.
I'm worried I'm like expecting inappropriate questions now.
There's only one.
First question.
Have you guys just one.
Second question. Did you like it?
Popping herself over here.
No. This is surprisingly tame. Okay. First question. What movie do you think you have seen the most in your life?
In my life? Oh man, I actually don't know because I'm so bad about like remembering what the hell I like. People all the time are like, what's your like favorite movies? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe Hot Fuzz. That might be it. That's on a lot. And I love that one. Or probably that one. Or maybe like Dodgeball. Dodgeball's good and it's on a lot.
So good.
The Ocho, baby.
Yep. The editing in Hot Fuzz though is something I can't get over how amazing it is. I love it.
Yeah, I saw that in the theaters and it was like killer. Brian, what's your most viewed ever movie?
Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, actually, I got to correct myself now that I heard Brian's answer. It reminded me Bubble Boy is my most seen movie. I bought that on DVD and just like would put it on all the time in college. It's not good. I don't know why I was doing it.
I'll say that Grandma's Boy is amazing. So we're not relating on that.
Just the boy portion.
What is your favorite horror movie franchise?
Horror movie franchise? Sorry, I had to burp. I'm drinking a LaCroix right now. Horror movie franchise. Alien. I just recently watched all those again, and Alien is tight. What, you don't like it? You don't like Alien?
That's mine.
Alien's crazy when you look up the credits too. When you look up who was involved in that, every director is pretty crazy. It's and all the like actors that are in that. And what's his face? The Grandpa Lannister is in Alien 3. Is that his name? I don't even know. I just remember being
Grandpa Lannister.
Grandpa Lannister.
I knew right. I knew you meant right away.
Yeah, exactly.
The villain of The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Becky, tell Brad I knew his name.
I will. He'll be impressed.
We like to know obscure actors' names while Becky just shakes her head on us.
No, if I met that guy, I would call him Grandpa Lannister and like ask for him to sign something, sign it Grandpa Lannister.
Be like, what are you talking about? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, don't you know I'm from Alien?
All right. What is your favorite horror movie subgenre? So like slasher, paranormal, something really obscure and weird. I don't know.
Probably like exorcism type of ghost house, All the haunted house movies are basically exorcism movies, and those are always really killer. Yeah.
I think like psychological. So, like anything like based around like mental health, like those sorts of things, like edging on reality, that sort of thing does it.
What would you guys say is your favorite mockumentary film that is not your own? That being 15 Things You Didn't Know.
Oh, definitely Pop Star.
Oh, yeah.
15 Bits You Didn't Know About Shitfoot.
Yeah. Pop Star is great. I'm glad to see
Pop Star. Pop Star is the best, and it's underviewed. I'll talk about it anytime.
Pop Star is really good. I watched all of the Christopher Guest films a lot growing up. So like I would say those were like a huge influence on me. and that sort of feel and tone, not like the characters being earnest, like all those characters like care so deeply about what they do, and not in a way that is like wacky. Like they all believe in it in an earnest way. I think that's those are huge for me.
I can definitely see both of those influences in your film. What is your all-time favorite sketch comedy TV series?
Sketch comedy TV series, maybe Mitchell and Webb, or Key and Peele.
Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, those are tough because even the ones people love, like SNL, like their batting average is not as high as we think. We usually just remember the good sketches, but you named 3 that have really good batting averages, I would argue.
It's really hard for a sketch show too, because like in order to like the top tier, even Chappelle Show, I think we're misremembering it. If that batted 1,000, it didn't. There were some sketches that weren't nearly as funny as other sketches, and like some of them were incredible. It's just it's a really hard ball to keep up in the air. So
yeah, except for maybe Mind of Mencia. That one crushed it, like start to finish.
Sarcasm come through on audio?
I'm gonna start keeping that one locked and loaded for when people ask me. Mind of Mencia for sure.
I don't think Brian's going to make it.
I'm just trying to like honest, because it just really toes the line of being like, he's just one of my biggest influences, not only how he stole, but how he didn't apologize about how he stole.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my greatest influence for stealing everything we did.
I have respect for not copying to what you did.
Yeah.
Hold the line. I couldn't find much about your guys' directors' influences, but it seemed like I found Zach liked a Tarantino movie or two. So what is your favorite film by Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, but Tarantino's okay. But I was talking about Edgar Wright.
That's a better question. You know what? But you did say you watch Hot Fuzz the most, but let's change it to that. What's your favorite Edgar Wright film?
Favorite Edgar? Probably Hot Fuzz. Yeah, I love Hot Fuzz. All his stuff is so like kinetic, and the camera's always moving and stuff like that. He just has such a unique style that comes across. Man, for Tarantino, probably Kill Bill.
Did either of you ever get a hold of the show Spaced? The first thing he did with Simon Pegg.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge fan of that.
Pretty fun.
Brian, I'll send you a copy. It's worth it if you're a fan.
Oh, he's shaking. He was shaking his head. I thought he was shaking his head like can't stand it.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen Spaced.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. You kind of see the origins of not only their like horror love, but the kinetic camera movement that Zach's talking about in that show.
I like Hot Fuzz, but Shaun of the Dead really was, I think, my favorite of theirs.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What would be your dream project to direct, produce, write, act in, somehow bring to life? Pick your way of getting there. Is there a story or a particular person that you want to make a movie about, or a genre that you haven't had a chance to do that you'd like to tackle?
Live action film adaptation of Mickey Mouse. So a person dressed as Mickey Mouse, and that person's Carlos Mencia.
Oh my gosh.
No, we're not doing
that. I can't even process this.
No. Man.
Appreciate the callback though.
Structure.
Anything we could actually do. That's the thing. I'm like super open to doing anything that's just like funny with the people we worked with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I have anything that's like a dream project, really. Do you have a dream project, Brian?
Oh yeah. Like a big budget heist. Lots of action, something that kind of gives you the same feeling that like maybe Rush Hour gave people the first time when it came out. Like, I don't want to say like, I want to remake Rush Hour now, because you never could, but like that's sort of like feeling of that action comedy, Lethal Weapon, like these sorts of like big action comedies with sort of like a pretty serious plot. Could be cool if there was like sci-fi too, but like that's sort of like the dream would be to make a film like that.
So Shane Black.
I really kind of, like that. He
has kind of cornered the market on what you were just describing.
Yeah, like love that kind of stuff. Like if you were like switch bodies, I'd be like, yes, right now. Jump right in.
On a similar note, I know he mentioned Mickey Mouse, but in jest. But is there an existing IP that you guys would love to crack, like a sequel, a remake, an actual adaptation of a known property? You want to take a crack at the alien world or something like that?
You got any answers, Brian?
Yeah, I'd like to do like I don't know if it's any IP. I think it's just any specific IP. I'd like to take a really big existing IP and do like a commoner's perspective on it. Like, I guess the example is when I watch Game of Thrones and I just see how many like standard regular people just get slaughtered by the dozen. And I'm just like, we're just not following their plots here. Like, and I care about these people. And I think most of us are like these people. So I think it would be cool to crack, like a Star Wars IP from someone who's like, can I just be a farmer and not like get caught up in like a Jedi Sith war or whatever every 5 years like you guys do? Like his struggle is he's just like, I'm trying to run a business and I need you out of mine, Yeah.
We also have potatoes on Cortana. We're trying not to get vaporized every time we harvest them.
Exactly.
I really like that, actually. I think that's a cool approach. What is your all-time favorite video game or video game franchise?
Video game? Probably Smash Brothers, man. It's got to be Smash Brothers. I don't know if that's an interesting answer because there's no story to that.
But you don't need a story.
Man, yeah, for sure.
How many fights have you gotten in with people over Smash Bros?
Only in the Smashverse. But no, I don't really get into arguments about video games. Oh, go ahead, Brian. You got one?
Oh, I was gonna say probably it's a throwback. Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Ooh, yeah.
That was that was a big one.
I used to play the N64 Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. Do you remember that one?
I don't think I played that one.
Dude, it was really fun. It was really fun, like gameplay, but also you could trade in that, and you could kind of like beat the computer by like forming trades where you could trade like 3 OK players for like a superstar. And you could just kind of keep doing that over and over again until you like built basically the all-star team. And I would just like crush my brothers because we would do a season and I would just like crush them with this crazy team that had every kind of person on it. It was great. It was a really great use of my time to sit there constantly trading free agents until I got Roger Clemens.
It sounds really great for you. It sounds amazing.
Oh, dude, they hated it because like we would go to play a game and they'd be like, dude, you have like Greg Maddux, Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa, and Ken Griffey, and Cal Ripken Jr. Like it's all on the same lineup. They're just cranking home runs, baby. It was awesome.
So this is a true, but is a little bit unrelated, but related story to that. My brother we used to eat lunch at the exact same time. And when we were kids, and he was a little bit older than me. And what he would do every single time is he would finish his entire sandwich, except for the very, very last bite. And then he'd look over at me every single time and he would go, "Hey, want a race?" And I would go, "Yeah." And I'd start eating my sandwich as fast as I could. And he would just stare at me while I did it. And he would just slowly take his last bite and look at me as I'd be so disappointed. Fell for it every time. So I feel like in that moment, you were my older brother.
Hell yeah. Well, I was number 2. So my older brother was in on that league too. So he was 14.
So you had a collaborator.
No. He was just like 14 and playing this game with us to like have fun with his younger brothers. And he'd just be like, "Dude, you're such an asshole. All you do is sit on here and just trade for all the best pitchers." Yeah, just getting crushed by a little kid that just has spare time on his hands. Yep. It's a good time.
Next question. Who is your favorite Muppet?
Favorite Muppet? I mean, probably Gonzo. It's got to be Gonzo. Yeah. I'm going to go with that final answer. Who's your favorite Muppet?
The 2 guys in the balcony.
Okay, you picked better. This interview is a lot of you picking better than me being like, "Good job."
Yeah, it's the guys in the balcony for sure. They're so mean. I love it.
This whole bit is Zach going, "I want to go first," but then deferring to you half the question.
Yeah, and then I remember other choices.
I don't know.
I'm getting that
Muppet answer.
I'm getting that buffer right there to make a better decision. So here, we'll switch it up. I'll go first.
All right. That's a good one to go first on. So you know the game FMK, Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do that, and this is the cryptid edition. So you have Loch Ness Monster, Kraken, and Chupacabra.
Okay. Yeah.
You're just...
This was my inappropriate question for the record.
What, Loch Ness? Who are the other one? Loch Ness, La Chupacabra.
And the Kraken.
What does the Chupacabra look like?
It depends on what you read.
What's the general vibe?
It's kind of like hairy, has big teeth. Some people say it's like a giant bat, or like people describe it as a dog.
You don't know Chupacabra? It's like yeah.
Okay, I'm getting an idea now. on whether or not I'd want to fuck it. Fuck the Kraken, just to say that I did it, right? Because that's
a good story.
That's tremendous, right? I mean, all the other ones,
the Kraken.
Yeah, and then be like, oh no, I'd be like, oh, that old bitch. Like I don't know if I'd ever reference. Yeah, that's how I'd treat the Kraken.
Yeah,
I'd hate her. Fuck the Kraken. Wow, that's hard to say. Fuck the Kraken.
Becky, you broke Brian.
Mary Loch Ness, just because, it's legendary. She's beautiful. It's, iconic. There's going to be a lot of pictures. And kill the chupacabra because I don't really know enough about it. Gotta go.
I would probably fuck Loch Ness for sure. It's a good story. And probably the most human looking body among them, maybe. I don't know. And then probably marry the Kraken. And also if you have an X floating around out there, it sounds like 2 out of 3 of these are waterbound creatures. At least have it be like pretty regional. Like I just can't go to England anymore because I fucked Loch Ness. And then definitely kill the chupacabra. That thing looks creepy, man. That's too close to things weird. Couldn't tangle with it.
All right, you're in alignment on who to kill.
Yeah, forget chupacabra, dude.
So that question happened because of wine.
I think we both killed the chupacabra because of the hair too. I think that was a big part of it. I was just like, I don't know.
And the spiky back.
Yeah, let's just get the hair out of the equation. Let's just.
This might be more up Brian's alley, but I know Zach has spent plenty of time in Georgia himself. So one more F, Marry, Kill, Georgia food edition. Fuck, marry, kill, Zaxby's chicken fingers, Moe's Southwest Grill. Welcome to Moe's. And the Waffle House. Or for Georgia, we could say the Huddle House, which no one knows about.
Oh, yeah. No, let's go with...
It was Moe's Southwest Grill?
Welcome to Moe's.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want
answer.
Yeah. I was going to say fuck the Zaxby's, marry the Waffle House, and kill Moe's.
Yeah.
Kill Moe's.
Same exact answer.
Get out of here.
Forget Moe's, dude. Trying to be Chipotle? What the hell?
It's trying to be like, there's like 6 other places that are comparable that are better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have other options. Kill Moe's. Becky's like, what are these places?
Yeah. I've heard of the Waffle House. Okay.
Well, I know that. Zaxby's is Raising Cane's for people on that side of Alabama, like the east and south.
I just discovered what Raising Cane's was. I'm from the Northwest
Zaxby's
originally, so we have very different food options. They sell you
there. 3 items. 2 of them are chicken finger plates, and they have orange sauce. It's kind of a very similar thing. I'm sure people from each region will fight you on who was better, but they both will give you the shits.
It's not good. I just recently had Raising Cane's again for the first time in like 8 years, and nah.
Did not end well.
It just wasn't the nostalgia trip I thought it would be. I was like, ugh, isn't that good? Not gonna go down this road again.
Gotcha. All right, switching gears. No more FMK stuff. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Music of the Night from Phantom of the Opera.
Simon Says by Pharoah Monch.
There you go.
All right.
Wow.
Those I could see both of those.
You'd be surprised. It's on a lot of karaoke lists.
Huh.
So in a music vein, what would be each of your guys' walk-up music? Is like you're coming out to talk about a film, your TED Talk, if you're a boxer or a fighter, what's your entrance music?
Mark Maron podcast, pretty much any episode. I'll come out to that.
of him beating on equipment when it breaks down. Like that's the clip you need.
It's me coming out of the thing. I'm like, I have my boxing gloves on, and he's just like, you got to check out stamps.com. You're going to save you. You have new stamps sent to your door.
Yeah, I was going to say the Sanford and Sons theme, but I like yours more.
Those are both quality entries.
Yeah, it takes us 45 minutes to get to the stage too. It's a whole episode.
Please welcome Zach Lamplugh, and you hear Mark Maron going, I got this guy on the show. I kind of used to hate him. Still do.
Yeah.
We talked.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good answers.
All right. Last one. What is the one thing you haven't been able to do since the lockdown, social distancing, quarantine that you're dying to do once everybody's vaccinated, all the restrictions are up? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Me? Probably travel. Everybody wants to travel, like internationally, or just fly more, go somewhere. yeah, I'm excited to go to a different country and not have to worry about a different strain or something like that. And also shoot live action movies.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough out there.
Go to a concert or whatever that the initial versions of that will be.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are starting to go on sale.
I was going to say, they're starting to book a lot for the fall now. Keep getting notices from Live Nation and all those kind of sites. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll hope. I mean, we'll hope they're safe. I mean, I'm happy they're booking them. That's cool.
That's the end of the official rapid fire. We appreciate the answers. Summer.
Hell yeah.
There. Can you tell us what might be next for both of you? Is there any project you can vaguely talk about, or is there anything you want to promote beyond 15 things you didn't know about Bigfoot? Number one will blow your mind.
We're writing another script, but just making another movie. We're trying to get the gears turning on that.
I'm starring in another film called The Murder Podcast, which is going to be doing its festival run, probably starting at the end of this year, hopefully. But other than that, same as Zach, working on the next script, trying to get the next film made.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Is that making fun of like true crime podcasts and stuff? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Without revealing too much of the plot.
Oh.
Totally. No, it is. That's the idea.
Awesome. So if people want to follow you online, are there any particular social media accounts you'd like to point people to, or websites?
Definitely just Google the movie 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number one will blow your mind. Check out the trailer. And if it's something you like, then go rent it on May 7th on demand. It'll be on iTunes. It'll be on Amazon. As far as us personally, I mean, what am I on Twitter? I think I'm Secret Grandpa, GRAMPUH. And then on Instagram, I'm Pimp Pirate. So yeah, really, really terrible Google SEO names. But mostly just want people to check out the movie.
Yeah, of course. We'll throw that in the show notes where people can find you on social
media.
Hell yeah. If so inclined.
Yeah, I'm at Brian Emond on everything.
Really? You're not in your mouth 69 like Zach?
Yeah. I'm big. I'm 15 Things You Didn't Know About Buttfucker 69.
Number one will blow you.
We'll just blow you.
All right. As Zach said, VOD on demand May 7th, wherever you buy movies, rent movies, all those sites will have it. 15 Things You Didn't Know About Bigfoot. Number one will blow your mind. We promise. We appreciate the answers from both of you guys. We appreciate the interview and the time, and look forward to more from you. We're excited to get this movie out in the world too. And again, with Paper Street in association with, we're happy to do all we can to put it out there.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to have a movie coming out with y'all.
Yeah,
Same.
thank you guys.
I can't imagine it will be the last one. So
yeah, it was a ton of fun talking with you both. You proved to be just as fun as your movie, which is great. I'm glad it wasn't a boring interview after watching the movie. I had high expectations, and sorry if you hear my dogs in the background scratching at the door. They want in. I don't know. But again, thank you both. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks again, guys, for the time.
Thank you.
Take care, y'all.